You know, last night, I get on my knees outside, and it's the most beautiful night that I've seen in a long time. I could see the stars like I used to see them when I was a kid, and I just fell on my knees and thanked the Lord that there was a space in the sky facing north. Now, south was covered with chemtrails, but the northern sky was very, very clear, and I could see just an array of stars like I used to. I just prayed to the Lord for more answers to the questions that I've had all my life. That clear spot in the sky to me represented an opening. Chemtrails to me represent a separation of God, the souls of mankind. And I am literally miserable when they spray. Well, the next day, you can look at my videos, there was an all-out assault on our sky. They sprayed literally all day, covered the sky with chemtrails. And I filmed them. So here I am. I'm up at my typical 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like the Lord just awakens me in the middle of the night. And as I dream, I get answers to the questions. And I think one of the questions I had when I was praying to the stars last night was, why don't people want to talk about what's coming? We literally have a government that's turned our world upside down. I talked to a friend of mine who I thought was a friend. I'm literally being betrayed by every friend that I thought was a friend. And he says, oh yeah, depopulation has to happen. I'm thinking to myself, how could you say something like that? You truly don't understand the source of energy. And that energy is just free floating all around us. And that we've been using these dark energies like oil and things that we don't need to use. God gave us everything we need. I believe that 50 billion people could live on this planet, not 6 billion. I mean, the number is 6 or 7 billion, but I believe it's being reduced more than it's rising. And I actually read an article about that the other day. That the populations are in decline. Globalists have turned the stars upside down. 5-pointed star. I thought to myself, I said, why are all my friends betraying me? Why were there women in my life that literally took money, I prayed to the Lord, to just destroy my life? I just woke up from a dream, and the Lord said, Fred, you are the sacrifice, and they are Judah. They took money, they prostituted themselves to turn you over to Pontius Pilate, the governors. And I woke up in the middle of the night, I just thought, oh my gosh, that's it. We literally have, in every part of our society, people either standing with God firmly, no matter what, even if they're prosecuted or they lose all their friends or they lose their families. And then we have people that are selling for money their souls to Satan. Unaware, some of them, but a lot of them are aware. They're trying to get higher in this Freemasonic society instead of higher in God's society. Part of religion believe in, if you want to come to the temple, do this to this guy. I'll give you some money. We'll take care of you. And in here, I'm standing, being blacklisted by Freemasons. And I say, no, I don't care what you do to me. I'm just going to stand with the Lord, and He's going to provide for me. And He has. He's provided abundance. Not just abundance to live, but He's provided this amazing thing called truth and wisdom. And the more truth you gain, the more separated you are from society. I was having a conversation with a police officer, and he said, I was just talking to him about issues today, and he was actually responding. I was amazed. I don't know if he was faking it or if he was being sincere. He seemed like he was sincere. So I started bringing up some of my points, talking about smart meters. The smart meters were collapsing all my electronic devices, crashing computers, crashing motorcycle, 4 lawnmowers. All the electronics and the batteries have just been fried ever since the smart meter has been installed on my house. Illegally. I mean, I called in and said, I don't want the smart meter. My best childhood friend, I met him when I was 4 years old, threatened me. And he says, oh, you touched that meter, man. No, that's going to be a police issue. I said, Scotty, I don't want this thing on my house. I said, why don't you realize, like I did, who are you working for? Why would you turn to money and turn against your friends? And all I'm trying to do is tell you the truth. That thing is dangerous. It's a weapon of mass destruction. It's emitting radiation It turns your house into a radiation pumping poison device. It's killing people. It's aging. It's a soft, slow kill. The software was designed by the elite so that they can, once they blackball you, they can just radiate you to death. You see, they can't touch you, but they can radiate you. God protects you. You turn your life over to God, and God's protecting you. Physically, they don't touch you. They feel like they can radiate you to death, slow kill you. I think about the people, the relationships in my life. I've watched them turn me over to the Freemasonic evil society, slandered and lied and deceived. And God said, Fred, they're Judah. They're going to be eternally trapped with Satan. And I said, Lord, forgive them because I don't think they know. And he said, forgiveness is up to them. He said, have they ever asked you for forgiveness? And I said, Lord, no, they have not. Have they ever witnessed or acknowledged what they did? And I said, no, Lord, they have not. He said, so in my eyes, little Freddie, he says, they're Judah. They're the same one who turned my son over, denied my son, and influenced the crowds to scream, crucify him, crucify him. He said, I have no mercy for these people. They are my enemy, and they've turned their back not only on you, but on me. And I literally woke up in tears thinking that the people that I have memories with and love, even still in my heart, I still love them. And I see truth, and they don't. And therefore, I've lost my friendship with them because I had to, because I have to travel my journey towards the light. I'm like a tree. I have to reach for the light my entire life. I'm like a seed. I have to reach for the light my entire life. They've chosen not to live their lives without the light. And the Lord told me, he said, I have judged mankind. He said, that's what December 21st, 2012 was. I've chosen who I've chosen. And I've awakened consciously some. No matter what you say to the others, you're never going to awaken them. Well, I said, Lord, I can't stop trying. And he didn't falter me for wanting to try to save the people that I once cared about and to educate people. I said, Lord, I can never stop trying to teach what you've shared with me. And all of a sudden, the dream ended. I kind of woke up thinking, am I not supposed to know what my duty is? It was like he left it in my hands, and he said, you know something, Fred, even if I've chosen you to travel the journey towards truth, it doesn't mean that you're eternally going to be saved. It doesn't mean you're coming to my kingdom. He said, I'm still testing you in my eye. That's what my thought was. That's why I think he just left my mind and I woke up, because I believe it's up to me. I've lived within the heart my whole life, followed the heart. I followed the laws of God. I never really cared about the laws of man. I saw them as the enemy of society. I just don't see man's laws having anything to do with God's laws. That they're the opposite. They're the upside down star, or the hexagram, the most evil symbol, witchcraft, Illuminati symbol of Satanism. It's on the dollar. It's in the Catholic churches. It's in the Mormon church. It's on our state and federal buildings. It's in the Vatican. It's in my loved football team, the Saints, the fleur-de-lis, the six-pointed star, the hexagram, the upside down pyramid. And then last year I saw him blew the playoff game. I saw Drew Brees just literally blow the game. He did it on purpose. I watched his eyes. I knew what he was doing. See, once you enter into the kingdom of truth, you literally can see everything. You can see that football is just men battling men instead of men uniting as one, like the movie Braveheart. And then you keep looking, this Luciferian, this Eye of Ra, this high-level Freemasonic, practicing witchcraft, brewing and malting, Freemasonic. Even Walmart has a six-pointed star at the end of it. That I now see, I go, well, no way, I'm not entering into that building. The coat of arms, the Nigerian flag, Rothschild-owned country, Israel. Some people literally today think that Israel is going to save us. Oh my God, it's the opposite of reality. It's the army for the Rothschild. They're literally building the army to be more powerful than America. They have a higher budget. All your tax dollars goes to Israel through AIPAC. Building the army. Your interest that you pay on your house and your car goes towards Israel building their army. United Nations and Israel. The armies that Rothschild, the bankers, have control of. Oil companies. Chemtrails is Rockefeller's way of profiting through the medical industry. Viruses, smart meters, and all this stuff to radiate us and keep our immune system down to where if they do launch an attack on us, they can just virally infect us. And that's why they're radiating certain individuals in their home. They're trying to kill their immune system. So once they do get people customized to this weather engineering, weather modification, a reality with chemtrails, Not only can they fake you out with the weather modification, they could just launch an attack and spray you with a viral infection or some, eggs of mosquitoes. And just, next thing you know, Ebola is running rampant, or some kind of black plague, or some kind of viral infection or flu that they've invented in the lab. And Rockefeller just rolls over because these people are just emptying their bank accounts to stay alive. If I catch one of their diseases, I'm not going to their hospitals. I am not going to the serpent. No way. Six-pointed star. It's in presidents. Napoleon. Joseph Smith. Pirates had the six-pointed star. The Mormon buildings. Six-pointed star. It's like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can't ever leave. I was in a relationship for so many years, and I cared for this woman so much, and have a child with her. And I just kept trying to pull her away from this Freemasonic society. She couldn't go. She could check out and come hang out with me for a while, but she couldn't leave. And I would say, why don't you just leave? She would never leave. And I judged my decision on marrying her based on her leaving. She had to leave. She had to step away. I walked away from somebody that I really cared about. Walked away from my daughter because I cannot check in to a Freemasonic society. She had me blackballed when I rejected Mormon. Turned in a false police report. One day I read it, I was like, how could I ever have loved a person that could write something like that about a man? And what's so crazy is that nothing really happened for her to do that. It was just all, somebody said, here, I'll pay you some money, go do this. And then they took that record and they blackballed me. My life was instantly changed once that record happened in my life. Everything changed. Everything. I went from every company on the planet wanting me to work for them. Difficult to even find a job. And once I found a job, I'd get in there and I'd make a lot of money and I'd prove myself. And all of a sudden this record would catch up to me. And next thing you know, I was hated by everybody. And I was in this situation that everybody hated me. And I was so unhappy that I would be forced to leave. Sometimes even asked to leave for no reason. I've proved to you what I can do, and all of a sudden you're turned on me? Why? I didn't have the answers then, but I do now. I will never do those secret handshakes and secret passwords. If they want to control a secret work history and hurt people and slander people, bear false witnesses, that's their option. I cannot control what people do, and nor will I hate people who decide. I pity them. I'm so sad. I literally can cry just thinking about their true life destiny. Because once you feel the power of the Lord within the heart, you don't really need a relationship. You don't need money. You don't need fancy cars, fancy houses. You reject everything Satan offered you. You reject it all. Media, politics, president, war. I could go on forever. There's so many things in your life that are evil, and they surround you, and you're just unaware. I talk to my family, and look what's coming, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's sad. And you live in a world that we're all going to die, but nobody wants to talk about death. Now we have men that are trying to make it happen quicker, but nobody wants to talk about it. How could you not want to talk about the murder of your own children? To me, it should be the most highest priority to save the children. I imagine being judged by God, and he says, and looks at my children and says, these children are a reflection of you, and they're the only thing that you can take to heaven with you, Fred. What have you done to save your children? And now I got to tell them, I'll say, Lord, I've done everything. I've done everything to save my children, to awaken them consciously. I tried to give them money, and that didn't work. I tried to give them love, and that didn't work. And right at the end, Lord, I just tried to force truth on them, emailing them, literally harassing them. Awaken my children. Your father has been awakened consciously, and I'm trying to teach you. It literally drives them further and further away. So all I can do is, by any chance that the Lord chooses to allow me into his kingdom, all I can do is beg for my children's soul and just say, Lord, they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know all the symbols and everything that they were worshiping. They had no idea that when I was in college, I can go bartend, pay my tuition, save up enough money to eat, and do everything. There's no way they can do that now. They couldn't work at a restaurant, save up enough money for tuition. I could literally work in the restaurant business and continually go to college. They can't. And now our colleges don't teach us anything about the corporate world or anything about truth. It's just all lies, 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 and these kids graduate, and all of a sudden they can't get a job because they don't even qualify. Because the corporations are 10 years ahead of the colleges. 20 years ahead of the college, some of them. And it's all done by design. All they're trying to do is put our children in debt at an early stage in their lives. And they're in debt. They're in debt to the banks. When the banks call in the loans, they say, you owe us money, we'll wipe out the debt, just go kill somebody. Here's a gun. The men like Vietnam, black men incarcerated. We'll let you free, black man. Just go kill somebody. What was so amazing is they were released out of prison to die. They were murdered. And Martin Luther King said, no, don't go to war. Some listened and some didn't. But these men didn't return. The sacrifice of men. Once you enter into this Freemasonic satanic world, you actually believe that you're better than a black man or a brown man. There's no way that I could ever relate to that. We're all children, sons and daughters of God. The color of your skin or your religion, it just doesn't matter. Why are we killing each other? Why? Why do we go to war in the name of peace over and over and over, but we never have peace? Why can't people just stop and say, wait a minute, we didn't have peace in this war, we didn't have peace in this war, we're still at war, and now nations are rising against nations. You got Israel killing Palestine, and every country in the world Israel is attacking. They attack either financially or physically attack. Wars, and America's trying everything. A plane was shot down yesterday, and I know who did it. It's the people who want war. That's who did it. Oh, we don't know who did it. Malaysian flight. I know who did it. It's so simple. If you can't see the policy of America today, that all they want to do is go to war so that the people like myself will shut up. They can shut us up during war. The truth is erased in war. Your country goes further into debt. Rothschild and Rockefeller sit on their yachts and laugh at us killing each other. And they're safe now because we're at war and people aren't going to come after them. They've convinced worlds to go to war. That's what saves them from being people going to the Rothschild and Rockefellers and hanging them for what they've done, the murder. Look at Rockefeller, all his medical industry is being revealed through flu shots. People are waking up, fluorides and foods and toothpaste. People are waking up, they're going, wait a minute. The serpent crawling up the tree of life. And they're going, hey, doc, are you going to heal me naturally? You're going to give me a pill of death or a shot of death? The reason I did this video was to just tell people, if you're standing with the Lord, people are betraying you all around you, your family, your friends. Luke chapter 21 is just happening in your life. Everybody's turned on you, and you stand with the Lord. The Lord promises that they will not eternally harm a hair on your head. They can't touch you. They could blackball you, but they can't touch you. Stand with God, no matter what. You could be alone. You will not feel sorrow. I don't feel alone. I've never felt alone. When I was married, I felt more alone than I do now. When I was in love and relationships, I felt more alone than I do now. Both of my marriages, I felt more alone than I do now. Because once you have the light of the Lord, I can't explain it. There's no way that I can transform my mind into your mind. Every word that I say is the opposite of your reality. You see my words as evil when I positively know that my words come directly from the Lord. And no matter what you tell me, what kind of names you call me, insults, you're not debating the real issues. I'll say, well, let's break it down. Let's talk about this issue. Show you the facts that it is happening. Oh, no, you don't want to talk about that. Because Satan's just screaming in your ear, no, stay away from that man. Keep away. No, don't look at the facts. Don't look at the facts. You're mine. I got you. People put up their hands and say, I don't have time for this. Kick you out of their homes when you're trying to talk. I got to go. I got to eat. I actually had a friend of mine say, I got to eat when I was talking about these horrifying issues that are happening in our world today. The destiny for our children, the early death of everyone around us. They have to go eat. That's more important. They got to feed their bodies with those processed poison foods, I guess. Satan's calling them. This dream has made me stop tormenting myself and asking the Lord, why aren't people listening? He told me, Freddie, you are the crucifixion, and they are Judah. And they're going to keep crucifying you over and over again. They might even put you to death. They'll turn you in and turn you over, just like Judah did. They'll kiss you on the cheek, pretending like they love you, and turn you right over. Same thing the mob does. They'll deny you, just like the 12 disciples. 3 times before the rooster crows, Peter. As he swore to his face, Jesus, I will never deny you. He did it anyway. Every disciple denied him. Even his own mother, Mary, denied that that was her son. They knew that they would kill her. The disciples knew that they would instantly have their heads chopped off or hung on a cross. I remember the story of Peter that went back into the city as he was speaking to Jesus as Jesus ascended to heaven. Jesus told him, don't leave the city. Go back. They're slandering my name. Martin Luther King said, just because your heart is beating doesn't mean that you're alive. You know, the rhythm of your heart is just a reminder of an early death, eternal death. So how can you just stand there and do nothing when we called to serve the Lord? And we serve the Lord until we die. You don't think Martin Luther King and JFK and RFK and Malcolm X, you don't think that they knew that these men wanted them dead? You don't think they knew this? They knew it, and they kept doing it anyway. They did it for God. They did it for truth. And they did it for love of their brothers and sisters and mankind. No matter what color, what race, what religion, we just loved everything that God created. The moral of this story is, as I got on my knees and called out to the stars and said, Lord, tell me why. And he did. He said, Fred, you are the crucifixion, and they are Judas Iscariot. You know, knowing this, I am on the verge of tears. Can't imagine someone that I love being Judas Iscariot. Even though they've done me all this harm, I just still eternally forgive them. But until they just completely turn their lives over to God, they will never find truth. They'll be eternally blind. You know how Jesus put his hand on people and gave them sight? He didn't give them eyesight. He gave them sight of truth. He awakened them conscience. I don't have that power. I'm not Jesus. I'll never be Jesus. I can't touch people. All I can do is just try to lay down that foundation. Like John the Baptist said, I am not the one, but he's coming. I'm just here to lay down the foundation for the one who's coming. I am not he. I believe that there are 144,000 people on this planet that have been blacklisted, maybe more. That's one of the things in the Bible, Calvinism and Revelations, that I believe. That God has kept certain people's genes and genetics pure. You see, my mind, all my life, ever since I was a child, I've resisted the devil. Ever since I was a child, I knew the laws of God. I knew every time, if I broke a law of God, I always turned to the Lord and apologized for what I did every single time. I turned to the people that I hurt and apologized. Now, some of you might say, well, Fred, you've broken man's laws and you never apologize. No, I don't apologize for man's laws. Man's laws are the enemy of God's laws, but to break one of God's laws in a marriage or a relationship or a friendship, always apologize. I always ask for forgiveness. I've always been like that. It is in my genetic DNA. Follow the Lord. I remember as a child dreaming, and the devil was always trying to get me. I would wake up, no, I'm not going with it. The same thing is happening today. It's just not a childhood dream. It's just reality. I literally have the life of Job, where Satan was just knocking at my door 24 hours a day trying to tempt me to sin. And every time I said, no, I'm not denying God. No matter what, no matter how much money you give, no matter how much sex I get, or how many beautiful women, nothing. I will walk away from a beautiful woman, from money, anything that he's offered me every single time, and I will follow God. With a beautiful woman, and she says, come to Satanism. I say, no, I'm not. I will leave you. And then I get this sensation, I've got to leave her. And I warn her, I say, I'm going to leave you if you keep doing this. And what they do, instead of asking for forgiveness or turning to the Lord or asking, why are you leaving? And trying to understand what they're doing is the enemy of God. Turning your back on God, you are doing Satanism. He can't follow you. You want to party and do drugs and have fun all the time, and you live in the lower half of the chakra, eat, sleep, and have sex, and you don't even make love from the heart. You make love from the lower half of your chakra. Everything's got to look good and feel good. It's nothing from the heart. They don't live in the realm of the heart. They don't live in the realm of love. They don't live in the realm of God. I would holler and scream and beg, plead with all this passion, and they would just stay with evil. They would always turn me over, just like Judas did, for money. They would take the money, break God's laws, and never apologize. Now I know that they were Judas, and I'm just the one that's being crucified. Being crucified on this earth is not a bad thing. Proof that the Lord has his eyes on you. He is calling. It's a potential that you can come into his kingdom. I'm a humble man. I don't know what fate is. I just know that no matter what happens to me, I'm not going to deny God. I will never deny God, even if it means my death. There's no rooster going to crow, not one time. The first time we'll say, I stand with the Lord. Will not deny God. Maybe I'll be like Peter and cowered out. But if I do cower out, I might cower out once, twice, maybe even 3 times, just like Peter did. But I promise you, we'll go back and say, I am a man of God. Fall into the upside down cross or a six-pointed star. I'm going to bow down to this worship of King Solomon witchcraft. But think about that. Just think about, are you the one being crucified? Or are you the one that is turning over and denying people who stand with truth? Are you in your life, are you sitting here saying, well, I don't want to talk about this and I don't want to talk about that. I want to watch some TV. Is that what you're doing? Or I got to go to my job. I've got to pay this house payment. Can't talk about that. You're telling your father, you're saying, Dad, let's talk about something normal. How do you talk about something normal when people are spraying chemicals by air, killing you, fracking your land and radiating your house with radiation? They're killing you. Do we talk about how can something be normal when judgment is here? God is choosing his people and Satan's choosing his people. It's here. It's now. How can we not talk about this? How can it not be the topic of every conversation in the world? Is that who you are? Are you the one that's sitting here saying, I can't focus on this. I got to go to my job? Is that what you're saying? Or are you the one that's being crucified? You're the one that's, every door is being slammed in your face. Every friend that you go to is resisting you, rejecting you. You're sitting here trying to say, here's the truth. And they're sitting here fighting, I'm going to fight for gun control. Why are you fighting for gun control? Because they're poisoning your water. They got 10 avenues to get your guns. And I do believe in gun control. I believe that the gun is a symbol of our freedom. It's a symbol of even fighting tyranny. I don't believe that you live by the gun. Like Jesus said, I believe that you don't live by the sword. But it is a symbol of our freedom. It's the only threat that these psychopaths have to just turning every star upside down, turning everything into our life in the Satanism. The gun united with our heart. And when that gun unites with other people and our heart unite with other people in the realm of love and God without fear, that's what our last hope is, of literally not having God just disappear on this planet. It's up to us. It's our duty. Jesus Christ, to me, was the last standing man who wouldn't deny God within that city of Pontius Pilate rule. I believe all over the planet there were men that were being crucified. Jesus was one of the stories of a city that turned against a man. But the same thing that happened to Jesus happened all over the world. Buddha, maybe they died different ways. They suffered, trying to figure out why people don't see the truth. They suffered. They say Jesus suffered in the garden as he cried out to his Father to forgive them, for they didn't know. He suffered more knowing it wasn't what was happening to him. He suffered because he knew the fate of mankind. He knew what the representation of his death was and the denial of truth. He knew what that was. That's why he went to the Mount of Olives every night, and then he would come down and he would teach. And one day he turned over the tables. He rejected the monetaries, just like doing today. I tell people the Federal Reserve is the biggest problem in America, and that Federal Reserve is linked to Israel, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, oil tycoons. And if we could just get rid of the monetary system, we could start to begin free trade. We trade amongst ourselves. We grow and we trade and we build and we trade amongst ourselves. We bring our troops home and we protect a God-like country, a country that has a star that stands as a symbol of God, not an upside-down star. Keep that star upright. Five-pointed star it's Jesus. It's the symbol of the cross. It's God. You can turn it upside down and you've got Satan. During Bush's administration, the Republican Party stars were turned upside down. And now the Democratic Party's, the star is being turned upside down. So what do? You keep voting Democrat or Republican, or you just reject the whole system? I say none of the above in 2000. Reject government altogether, because if the government has admitted that they're an upside down star, why do you work for them? Why do you follow them? And the government's controlled by corporations and oil, fiat currency, and petrodollar. Why do you work for anything that is associated, or do anything that's associated with that? You are the crowd screaming, crucify him. Maybe you're not aware. You don't even take the time to look up and see the chemtrails being sprayed upon you during the day. I see people walking around, and I see the plane spraying, and I'm looking up, I'm filming it, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy for filming it. Why can't you see? Even Luke chapter 21 said that you'll see a sign in the heaven. I'm looking at a painting that was done back in the 60s. I know, I've got to look it up. And I see a chemtrail in the painting, and it's Jesus being crucified, and the crowd screaming, crucify him, and Pontius Pilate's offering him up to the crowd. And the Roman soldiers are ready to cast their spear into him. And the Roman soldiers put a thorn on his head. So that means that your local police has turned on Jesus also. There's no difference between the Roman soldiers and the local police today. I mean, if the police turn on their own people, if they turn on God, if the star is upside down in the Democrat and the Republican Party, once that star turns upside down, how can you be a police officer? How can you work for an upside down star? I could just end this by saying, forgive you all because you don't know what you're doing. I will pray to the Lord that he'll forgive you too. I don't know. None of us know our destiny. Just like I can't predict what psychopaths do in this planet. All I can say is, look, here's a sign. You know, yesterday I read an article about Mexicans crossing the border and they were not inoculated properly. Homeland Security was bussing them and they got viral flu symptoms. And then I went outside and I see that chemtrails have changed. What they look like, the shape of the chemtrails, different. And all of a sudden I look in a pond and there's a green substance in the pond, like they're spraying a virus on it. I've never seen a green substance in the pond ever. I've seen yellow pollen from pine trees. I've never seen green ever. I grew up here all my life. I remember my childhood like it was yesterday. Never seen green in a pond ever. And I've never seen pollen in July. And we've got a green substance in all the water. The pond is coated with green. What is that? Black mold is growing everywhere because when you mix radiation from smart meters and cell towers, and you mix it with moisture and rain, you get black mold. The most dangerous free-floating substance that can kill the respiratory system. Not only that, it gets into the body and it weakens the immune system. The body's fighting black mold and all of a sudden, boom, you drop a flu virus and it's busy fighting the black mold. It's kind of like the AIDS virus. It's busy fighting one virus, and all of a sudden it mutates into another, and then the body dies. God bless. I love you all.